Okay, there we are. So I believe we are live on Facebook. So welcome everybody to Love Speaks Love. And my beautiful guest today is Kandice Co. Welcome, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Now I'm just going to double check. Turn my volume down. Double check that we're live and just do a little sharing. I was recording something the other day that I might be able to use for what do you call it, at the beginning when you have like pictures
Oh,
and
yeah.
mm.
Oh,
I,
yes.
it might be just a temporary one. I recorded some stuff last night with the full moon. Because I'll maybe talk a bit more on this, but I was feeling quite emotional yesterday, and I thought, I wonder whether to just make some sound with that. So I did.
Oh,
Okay.
that sounds incredible.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Hmm.
Um, okay, we are public as well. Sometimes things just get changed on Facebook. I can normally share without opening the thing, but it's all grayed out today. Okay, just bear with us. So share it. Oh, that means I can't share it to Love Speaks Love. Never mind. Okay. That will do, I think. Thank you everybody for joining us. If anyone feels to share it in any groups that you're in, I only share it to like five groups. So that's really helpful if you can. Okay, I think I will just do our little heart-to-heart connect while everybody's joining. Okay, so let us bring our awareness to our heart space in the center of our chest. Feeling our hearts together as one. One love, one beating heart. And connecting our hearts to the heart of Gaia. Feeling her love, her recognition, and her gratitude for all of us, for all that we are and all that we do. And feeling our hearts connecting to the heart of the sun and the heart of Source Creator. And really feeling ourselves in that unified field of love. And as we breathe love into our hearts and into every cell of our bodies, emanating and breathing that love out. Sending love to all hearts on the planet, to all the trees, to all the plants, to all the beings of the land, of the air, and of the waters. And feeling the presence of the beings of inner earth, the elementals, the dragons, and the galactics. All hearts as one. Oh, and there's 11 on the screen just as I finish that, of course. 2 has been really prominent for me recently, like, 222, 22,
Yes.
22. And I thought it might be linked to November, but it's been carrying on since then. So how are you, sweetheart?
the levels of unfolding. I feel like the volume just, oh, there you are. Just, yeah, the levels of experience. It's like every day it feels like we're getting a stronger bandwidth of experience. And so for myself, it's like, you know, it's new to me, but perhaps it was always available. But it's like I'm opening to a new availability for myself of experience. So I'm having to constantly acclimate with the levels of sensation that I'm submersed in on the regular. And it's just, it feels at times like it's a wild ride. Like some days I'm like sort of hanging on to this invisible seat. I'm just kind of like, whoa, what is this? And I'm not really, doing that much. My life is quite simple for my own, I guess, from my own perspective. So yeah, it's been a bit of a wild ride. So I'm feeling so much more. Again, I probably say that every day. I'm like, just when I thought that I couldn't handle any more sensory, there's just so much. Yesterday, I almost felt like it was too much, like I needed earmuffs. I needed to put earmuffs on and close my eyes to stop it, because I felt like my human body actually just couldn't catch up and process that much. I want to say streaming. It just feels like streaming. And so I did. I plugged my ears and I closed my eyes in the center of my kitchen while my kids were spinning around. They were all driving these vehicles around my kitchen, screaming and banging things. And I was just like, had my hands on my ears. I was closing my eyes and I was breathing. And then I took my hands off and it was much better. I had done something there where I was like, okay, I can handle this now. Okay, back to.
Like a reset.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
reset seems to be the word, doesn't it? Like
Oh,
it feels like the planet's
constant.
had a reset. We've all had resets, and it just, yeah, that word really keeps coming in for me at the moment. And I so hear you on this stream. It's like there's so much more information coming in. Everything's bigger. The emotions are stronger, and I felt for a while like I've been wrung out. You know, I'm being wrung out, and all those last particles, those last waveforms, whatever they are, those deeper things are coming up to the surface. And you don't think it can go any deeper, but still it does. So yesterday I went for a walk and I was in really good spirits yesterday, and I enjoyed the moon. Kind of Sunday night, it was Monday morning here that it was full about 9 o'clock. And I'd really enjoyed the moon. I was quite charged. I think, was that when I was sending you some creative stuff? I think it was. So I thought I'll go out for nature. The sun had come out from being cloudy, and I was like, yay! I should be able to, like, catch the sun as it sets, because at the moment it's just at the end of the water of the stream. And it started off pretty well, and then I got just before the bit that I turn off the main road to go into nature, um, and I could see the clouds coming, and there was a beautiful rainbow over here. I was like, yay, rainbow! Everything's all, you know, fantastic. And then it started raining. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that. I can still see the sun over there. I can just get there, I reckon, before the sun gets hidden by a cloud or sets. And then it just turned. Everything just turned. The wind started blowing, started raining. And I thought, I don't mind the rain. And I'd actually gone back. I'm walking with two walking poles at the moment because it's so muddy. And I'd gone back for them because I'd forgotten them. And I thought, no, it's too slippy. I almost slipped with them. And I got to a certain point that was almost at the bridge, and the wind was howling, and it was freezing, and it was wet, and the sun was pretty much hidden, but not quite. And I don't know what happened, but one foot just didn't have the ground properly and like slid. So I slid onto the onto the mud, and it wasn't a big fall. It was a slide, and I was like, no, I feel okay. I don't feel like I've injured anything. My hands were really muddy because they ended up in the mud. Um, and I was almost at the bridge, so I carried on. But it wasn't until I got home that I just started bawling and kind
Oh,
of laughing hysterically as well from time to time. It was both.
yeah, I know
It was
that is.
both polarities. But what I observed in the crying, and it was those real like, those tears. And when my not just my diaphragm, but when my stomach was going with that, and I was aware of where I was bringing it up from. And normally, like my whole life, you bring it up from your lungs, you bring it up from your solar plexus. And I was like, wow, this is from really deep. This is like from below my womb.
Oh my goodness.
And I was going with it some more. And then I was like, wow, I can bring this right up from base chakra. And it was,
Oh my goodness.
go on, over to you, because you're obviously
This is
in
so
resonance
wild
with that.
because yesterday when I had that experience and I plugged my ears and I closed my eyes, I went back into the womb. I just had a memory of being in my mother's womb and the hearing everything outside, feeling what it felt like to be. I've never had any womb memories, not to my, knowledge. And I could hear my parents yelling. I could hear them fighting, and I could feel my mother feeling that, and I had nowhere to go in that echo chamber. The feeling of that was so powerful,
Wow.
and I was just like, oh my goodness, like I'm moving through that right now, like wow. So when you said that, I'm just like,
Wow,
we
that's
really
really
are
interesting.
truly, yeah, we really are truly accessing the depths of this,
Yeah.
not just this life experience, but ooh,
Yeah, that's really interesting. And that brings me to water as well, because I'm doing something with Suzanne Amara next week, and the way that we first connected actually a couple of years ago was through me wanting to do like a water blessing, like bring people in with light language to work with the waters. So we're going to be doing an event together that is linked to that, and water has been very, very prominent for me of late. And I've been working a lot with the energy of my hands, and I felt, because I miss being able to put my whole body in water. I don't
mm,
have a bath here. My shower's incredible, but I miss actually floating in water. And when I was in Australia, the, there was a time when I lived by a pool, and they had those like noodles, those pool noodle things that you can just like lie on and be absolutely totally supported. And I realized that my body was relaxed, my whole body was relaxed in there in a way that doesn't normally happen.
right,
Another realization recently has been the fight flight response that I realize is never fully off. Got switched on for me like constantly for years and years. And I can bring it down to a certain level, but I feel a lot of the things that are kind of not functioning as at 100% in my body are all down to this. Like every single one is down to this fight flight. So that's work that I'm doing at the moment. And there was a lady who did kinesiology, and she's mentioned to me about your body doesn't know how to relax, and I'm like, And that was when soon after that, I was in the pool, and I was like, yay, I can get every muscle to relax, because
mm,
my muscles up here are always tense and have been for such a long time. But I miss being fully in water. So it's interesting that you say that about the womb.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ooh,
go on.
there's something about the stream and feeling the energy around us that makes it somehow feel like we're in another womb. I don't quite understand that one yet, but that was something that I felt yesterday after experiencing that. And then again, I keep feeling hugged by the air, or like really like I can feel the energy around just embracing me. So it's just kind of a strange feeling. Yeah.
That's really interesting, and brings to mind that, of course, there is water vapor in the air. So we can call in that hugging feeling from the air too, because it holds
Mm-hmm.
water. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when we speak light language, when we speak words, when we sing, that's connecting to the water because of the water vapor on our breath.
Oh, oh. And there's like the relaxation is such a key. And I think that that's why light language and the mudras and everything are so powerful, because there's something in that that is that we're tapping into that relaxation and we're carrying it through our being.
Yeah.
And that really allows for such a realignment and that reset. You know, we're resetting by doing this every single day. This is how we reset and realign and recalibrate, repatternize with the sacred geometries that are within us. It's so, you know, we can bring them in, but then they're also coming from within, it feels like.
And I'm
So my experience with the hand movements really started to pick up within about a year's time. But I realized, and I may have said this to you before, that I had breakthroughs of this in my teen years, of having spontaneous sort of hand movements, and I thought that I might have some sort of a disorder, you know, because I wasn't sure. It was just when I could relax enough, I had a like I was almost compelled to do this um, natural flowing with my hands. Like they wanted to move and they wanted to accentuate how I felt. Um, and even, you know, in the last couple of days, I've had such a appreciation for beings that we could see that our society has perhaps judged as they can't control their movements and stuff, because I really resonate with the moving of the hands to conduct, and it's like coming through your nerves like all the way. And yeah, there's something about that.
and the hands, you know,
Hmm.
like the feet hold the map of the whole body.
Right.
So when I've been dipping my hands in a bowl of water, um, because I wanted to like have an Epsom salt bath for my hands because I didn't have a bath, and it was like the same thing
Oh, I love that.
with
Beautiful.
pink Himalayan salt and magnesium, and then just dipping my hands in the bowl. I was thinking this bowl isn't quite big enough, and then I remembered my singing bowls, my crystal singing bowls, and I was like, oh. Then I get the resonance of the quartz too. So that's what I've been doing. I've been like putting them into the quartz, and I've not been doing, as I recall, because it's not that deep, the water, but maybe I could make it deeper for this. I've not been doing hand mudras while they've been in there. I've been actually, in a way, I have. I've been like touching certain points on my hands, but I've not really been moving them. But they've been coming out of the water a lot, and you know, there's been lots of different things coming through, and that's when I got the nudge to speak to you about this as well, because I know you've been going through kind of similar process with this, and it's the hand
Mm-hmm.
mudras have been off the charts, like, you know, all the different ones that have been coming through. And hand mudras have been used in India for a while. Like I intended to do more lives with these, but I think I've only done 2 so far. So this yoga mudras for the hands pack of
Mm.
cards
Oh.
by Sabrina Mesco. So there's lots of different ones, and the one that dropped in to do today is one for removing depression. So for this, and if you wish to join in with this at home, feel free. Or so sit with a straight spine, stretch your arms in front of you, your elbows are bent. Put the backs of your hands together. That always throws me. I always think this is the back of my hand until I remember it's the palms. This to me is the front of the hands, but anyway.
Okay.
But it's not, it's the backs. So put the backs of the hands together, fingers pointing away from your body, thumbs are pointing to the ground, and all the fingers are spread apart. So the backs of the fingers and fingertips should be touching. And this is actually one that I do. I kind of like do this in and bring it through.
Yeah, interesting.
So this one, and
Mm.
breathing long, very long, deep and slow breaths.
Mm.
And there's also a Japanese healing art called Jinshin Jitsu, and that works on certain points of the body, but there's a fair bit that works on points in the hands and speaks of every finger representing certain parts of the body. And if ever you're feeling stressed, if you like, as though each finger and thumb is like a handle of a door, you just grab hold of it and slowly work through each one. And it
Ooh.
really does bring a sense of calm to do that.
So I'm really feeling a lot of heat in behind my heart, in my wings. I'm feeling a lot of prickling and heat, especially my left one.
And I'm getting a sensation at the front, actually, front left.
Wow, beautiful. It's I'm always moving, so it's kind of nice to hold the posture
Yeah.
longer. I can feel the potency of that also. Um, oh, and how perfect this particular one for right now, because of the stream and how fast it's going and how much it's unearthing.
Yeah.
I've felt even moments of um, depressive energy myself, and I was quite surprised
Yeah.
that I was feeling that, and I just was like, you know what, that's okay, we're allowing all the feelings. I got to remind myself and coach myself,
Yeah.
speak to the parts of me, speak to all the parts of me. And that's been something too. It's like, wow, I'm becoming unified. What is that? What does that mean? Who am I talking to? What am I saying? It's just there's all of those little layers that kind of like do, 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 do. And it's just calling all that I am into myself and all into that unified feel of love that I am. Welcoming all, come as you are, all that I am, that we are.
And that feeling of depressed sometimes feels like that. It's like pressure from, squashing you down,
Ah,
like depression that way.
compression, depression,
Yeah.
compression. Mm.
Yeah, I can definitely feel as my hands are together, lots of tingling and heat and energy moving through my hands.
Mm-hmm. And And I always think of them as extensions. I always just imagine them extensions of the heart. You know, they
Yeah.
are the arms of your heart.
And the
There's a direct
throat.
connection. Yes, and the cervix. Like the
Mm.
whole, all probably the all the valves, right? There's a connection between clenching your hands and clenching all the sort of valve points, close and open
Interesting.
points of our entire being. And I know
That's
this because of natural birthing. I recognize that with my hands open, I was allowing my body to do what it needed to do. And that when I clenched my hands, I was actually bearing down and clenching in. So there was like a direct relationship, open, close, and they both could serve me in a certain way depending on what I needed to do. With my third child, I actually had a point where I had to hold him in. So I clenched my hands and I closed down my breath so it wasn't as expansive, and it gave me about 20 minutes to allow the midwife to get there. So
that's
yeah, we can use that as something.
that's really interesting. And even in terms of letting go of, whatever we're at the time trying to let go of, being mindful
Mm-hmm.
of how our hands are. Because
Yeah,
when we're stressed, it's like the white knuckle ride. We tend to like clench our hands.
right. And I noticed with my children, um, when they slept, a lot of them would have their hands open and their fingers even open, and it just let me know like that they felt so safe. You know, they were just so. And it's okay if they're not feeling. You know, you support whatever
Mm.
um, they're going through. And I just remember seeing when I knew that they were comfortable, they would have their hands open and their arms way out when they're sleeping.
That's really interesting. And I noticed as a very young child, I tried to sleep with my hands in prayer position and I would have nightmares. I could definitely associate having nightmares with my hands being
Mm,
together like that.
interesting.
And of course we have like, chakras in our hands and on the tips of our fingers and many, bigger ones in the palms of our hands. But I think a lot of energy gets released through our hands.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time doing a session and feeling someone's shoulder and their arm, and I could feel energy prickly, so negative energy leaving their body and going down their arm. And then the next thing, the hand like just twitched as if it was just letting it go.
Wow. Ah, yeah. So I'm feeling and hearing about circuitry and like open circuitry and closed circuitry, and also the left and the right together in harmony with your hands is like speaking to, I guess, the yin and the yang, the
Mm.
masculine and the feminine. And then um, I found in working with the hands, there's this really beautiful, powerful collaborating that you can do with the two sides of yourself, if you could say that, the two sides of expression that you're capable of, surrender and um, movement, action, uh, and then merging them together. And like this movement a lot for me, in going like this through all my energy centers that emanate forward. I'm massaging and moving through, my auric field as I'm allowing my hands to sort of intuitively recalibrate my being in the field. And I love how you're saying how the hands are also like the feet with reflexology. So it's like you are working, when we work with our hands, you're working in the energy fields, but then you're also having that reflexology sort of experience, working through all the different organs and physical parts of your being. And then it moves in through all of the different layers that we are through, you know, and especially with the mind, I find that there's a lot of work that wants to assist in this part of our being. and always feels like it's being like I'm tying in. I'm always seeming to reroute in the like it's like a light tech. You know, you're a technician, but you're technically working and weaving with the streams of energy.
Absolutely. Can you still hear me okay? Because
Yes.
I've moved my microphone because I didn't want to, like, once I start moving my arms around, I don't want to knock it. Yeah, it's really interesting you say that, because one of the first things that started coming through for me, and this was when I was like smoothing aura soma through my aura, and I would kind of like do this action and around the front, and I would start to like tie a knot.
Oh, interesting. Yes.
And I'm like, why am I doing that? You know, this was I don't know, 15 years ago. I think it was either 2006, 2005. And that's what I'd be doing. I'd be like tying a knot. But often when I do the light language activations, a lot of work might happen on the right hand side, but it's like it's then sometimes it's repeated on the left and sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's like tied together and brought
Yes.
over to the left. So it's like it's transposed over to the other side. So I hear you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of when I'm doing the light language mudras, part of it I think is the shape that you're creating with the hands, creating geometries. But there are also certain positions, excuse me, on the hands. So, for example, finger and thumb might be together, but it might be there, or it might be at the side. Or it
Yes.
might be lower down. It's quite specific, and you just feel where it's supposed to be. Um, and there's lots of kind of new ones, and I can't even remember them. I just observe them as they come through and be like, oh, I've
Yeah.
not done that one before. And that was one of them that we did earlier, like coming
Mm.
through with that. Often bringing in spirals too.
Yes.
And sometimes I have to look at my hands, especially between first and middle finger. I can't always tell which one I'm touching, and I'm not sure if it's the same on both hands or if it's
Mm-hmm.
different. Um, and yeah, lots of points down here that I feel to touch as well.
Mm-hmm. It brings through really powerful communication into your body, um, integrating with the both with the both sides. It just sounds so funny to me saying that. Oh, sorry if that's making sounds. I'm getting messages. I don't know how to stop that.
No, I didn't hear anything actually.
Okay, good. I'm having such um, strange perceptions, like perceptions that I didn't have before. I'm having those. It's almost like I've stumbled into something brand new to me, but I've looked at it a million times, but it's brand new. And I'm just kind of like, the way of thinking and perceiving is almost foreign to my own self. So I'm just kind of like allowing it, letting it go. And the same with the mudras for myself. If I were to try and access it through my mind, it would absolutely not happen. And I tried that because a girlfriend asked me to send her a picture, or I think I was trying to send her a picture of a mudra because I was like, oh, that reminds me of this mudra that I did. And then I realized I did not do that. They do me. Like it just is something that once I open, it happens. If I try to access it through the logical mind, I somehow don't have access to it. So how do I access the right, where it comes from, the right side is I have to, it's the surrender. So, and that might not be for everyone, but that would be the, if I was going to try and write them down and say, okay, this mudra that I do is for this thing, that would probably be difficult for me. Not impossible though, because there are some roadmaps that have been left from the ancient places like in India and Asia, where they have systems where they did sit and go through, okay, this is the meridian, like these are the meridians, and this is why each finger, like this, like each finger runs through the body here and the energy. So it's really sophisticated if you want to go through into that. And I am tempted to go and logically educate myself about, but there's also a part of me that's just kind of like, let's just play in it for a little bit longer and allow the intuition and allow it to teach me in experiencing it directly. There's something exciting to me about that, not knowing and just allowing it, and then having someone be like, oh, did you realize that when you do this, that's this, and I'm always like, of course. Of course, it's beautiful.
That's really interesting, and that yeah, I'm looking at these hand mudra cards, and I'm learning from that. But other than that, I'm not really seeking out the information.
Yeah.
And it partly feels like, in a way, this is new, and that might be one aspect of it. Tangent is the
Mm.
word that came in. It might be one, like, yeah, one aspect of it. But my feeling is that we are touching on crystalline pathways,
Mm.
which might be the same and they might not be. And
Ooh, I love that.
I wrote down crystalline at the beginning, when I think it was when you were talking about being held by the water. And it feels to me like it's the crystalline frequencies around us that are starting to like hold us.
Oh, wow. Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And this is our crystalline light body that we're activating through doing these. I know what I
Oh my
feel
gosh.
when I do the light language activations, that a lot of what I'm doing, like when I'm kind of when I'm going like this in my head,
Hmm.
I almost hear a sound of like boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
almost like, when you're at the ATM and you're like on the
Yes.
keyboard. It kind of feels a little bit like that, but it feels like I'm activating a nodal point in the crystalline
Oh,
pathways.
it's almost as though you're surrounded by constellations of
Mm,
stars in your field, and you're literally just connecting them.
yeah.
I'm just having this incredible vision right now of that and feeling. And even the way that I see now, like it keeps continually getting more pixelated. The atmosphere is more pixelated. And it's very surreal to have that. And it's just kind of like, all right, that's okay. It can be a little bit jarring for the human sensing system and human being, for lack of a better way of saying it, to all of the sudden have new experiences at such and such an age. And that is like a programmed way of seeing it, but it's just like, because that's been the way for so long, not just this lifetime, many lifetimes walked. um, it's been such and such a way. So to all of the sudden, it's like we're just gradually moving into higher capacities and capabilities and experiences. And um, it's such a surreal experience to almost be like parenting, or like walking or guiding your own all that you are through that.
Yeah, I love the way you put that. Like parenting ourselves through that. That's so appropriate.
Uh, It is, and it also is like doesn't take away from the fact that we're also like this childlike self too. Like it's so multidimensional and multifaceted. Oh, I love the one that you're doing right now. Okay, we should play.
So I think I said last time that we were on, and we touched on hand mudras, that I only really remember doing this around people's knees, but I do this on myself
Mm.
all the time. And
All
it's
the time.
often like from kind of that point there.
Hmm.
And if I can reach down to sacral, it feels like it's connecting, it connecting down to sacral.
Hmm.
So I do that diamond, and diamonds to me always represent, well, not always, but often represent the diamond light codes and diamond octahedrons, but not always octahedrons. Like sometimes, I guess they would still be octahedrons. Sometimes it's equilateral, and sometimes it
Hmm.
isn't. Sometimes they're like our hands, like it's small at the top, and
Hmm.
it's longer
Yes.
down. And what you were doing was that what you were doing with your fingers as well? Like, yeah,
Yeah, that's when they happen, you know, and it's guided by feeling. And you'll feel when it's a slightly off or you need to move a finger or you
yeah,
need to, and then you'll feel also when it's done because you can hold it over the different centers of your body. And then you're like, it's just like when you do traditional Reiki, right? You can feel when there's another area of the body calling you over, and so that you move. So then a lot of the times it's one direction and then it just flips to the other direction. And it's almost like it's a lever in a way, like the lever is down and you pull it up, but I can feel the different directions of energy. So when it's this way, I'm feeling the energy almost being drawn from the top and from the center down. And then when I flip it, I'm feeling the opposite. So
yeah.
it's like so more earth-based energies or earth-based flow or earth-directed flow, and then more celestial, cosmic, um, and you know it's just the directions also of your toroidal field that you have. That's um, so a lot of the times I think we're directly working with the currents of our energy. Um, yeah.
And sometimes, not often, but sometimes it's kind of flat too. More
Yes.
often it's like this or up, but sometimes it is flat, and sometimes it is that kind of like that kind of action.
Yeah, what a exciting, powerful tool that we have. And I'm thinking now of my son playing with his hands and babies, how they play with their hands. It's like we're born with these incredible gifts. And babies just are truly in love and fascinated with their feet and their hands. You
Yeah.
know, for years they are. And I feel like I've regained that fascination.
One of these makes me chuckle. It's a little bit like, did you ever know Incy Wincy Spider?
Yes,
I
yes.
kind of I do that quite often, and I'm like, oh,
That's beautiful. Yeah, there's ooh, wow. Ooh, ooh. Oh my, that's very powerful. So I have my fingers open at the top and my fingers open at the bottom, and I'm feeling really amazing um, currents of energy running out my fingers here and running down my fingers here. But I'm feeling how this is actually three-dimensional. This is a tubing. This is a tubing. I can feel the tube that it's connected to. Wow, that's incredible.
yeah. I often
So,
have fingers in. I think with that one, I think that might be the first time I've done it fingers out, like my fingers want to be, almost want
Ooh,
to be in. But it's different. It's
as soon as you close the fingers, you're focalizing the
yeah,
energy. So I can feel that
yeah,
now very differently. Very pronounced through this geometry because um, there's like equal force through both of the sides. So it's wow. And as I look through this geometry, I can see the energy, how it's forming in between my hands. That's very cool. It almost looks like I could blow a bubble. That's what it looks like. It looks like I could blow through my hands now and a bubble would come out. Just to let anyone who doesn't have that sort of visual phenomenon to, just to describe it. That's what it looks
yeah. I
like.
love that.
So there are times when I come to share the hand movements, and there's certain ones where it's like the energy of a flower. Um, I think it's this one where it's like the petals of the flower. It's almost like this is the seed of the heart. And yeah, you can really breathe into it. And as you open and feeling the different petals of that flower and opening to the light that you are and opening to the light that is um, when I'm allowing these, that's sometimes those are the words that I'll hear. It's almost like I'm being coached by the eternal self. It's like speaking about the flower of the heart and opening to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, opening to life itself and just allowing all of that in to nourish us. Oh, it feels very vulnerable right now, in the amount of opening that's happening. It feels very tender and raw over and over. Just when you're like, okay, I've got it. It's like you're tenderized again.
have you ever done that with steak in a rolling pin to try and make it more tender? That's almost what it feels like. If it's not that good a piece of steak, you can like
Yeah,
hit it with a rolling
tenderize
pin, and
it.
it, yeah, that's what I feel like. I've been hit with a rolling pin a few
Wow.
times this year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that being wrung out, really, 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 really softened. Ooh, that's the new way of being.
Yeah,
And it seems very um, almost like, again, like, yeah, it's against all the programming, right? All the programming was like, you got to toughen up, you got to put your back, like, you got to this. So it's really feels like we're sort of going against the grain or we're going against the currents to do this on one hand, but then on another hand, the currents are pushing us to do it,
yeah.
right? So that's the momentum that we're experiencing and the support that we're having now. Just like the switch that I was, it feels like the switch has been like there's been a switch,
Mm-hmm.
a flip of the switch somehow, where it's like we were going in one direction and now it's like no, we're going in the other direction now. Oh.
This is one that's been coming through a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I often have to look. I'm like, am I the same on that hand and this one's different? And this is, for now, this is like, it's not in the middle. it's so hard to like describe, but it's just kind of to the side and down a bit.
Mm. Oh, this one. Oh, I'm just remembering something. I think it was from 2016 or 17. Um, oh, whenever I do this, I always think of like a little seed,
Mm,
almost like a little dandelion, and then these are like the wings of it, right? Somehow. Or like we're just touching the jewel, like we have these jewels in our
yeah.
being and we're just touching them and activating them, lighting them up. And whenever the three fingers are out, I always feel like it's this trinitized, trinistic energy. And this is somehow um, an a more of like an ovaline diamond, if that's a word. I think I just made that up, but it is still a diamond, like a diamondess sort of seed.
But with rounded sides rather than straight.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Like a petal, like a flower petal, but
Yeah.
there's
And you said about weaving before, which I totally resonate with. And I've
yes.
realized that for a long time I've been weaving in these crystalline frequencies and weaving in them into my aura, into my physical body sometimes as well. And
Hmm.
that's often what shifts what's not in alignment with that. It's kind of bringing these higher frequencies in, these crystalline plasma frequencies, and it helps to shift what is stuck in there, and it helps
Hmm.
to shift what's ready to go and what isn't of that density. So sometimes that's breathing it into my heart and breathing it out into my toroidal field so it gets brought back in. Um, but it's a lot of weaving, and it feels like I'm sewing, and that's often like my needle and thread as well. It kind of feels
Yes.
like I'm sewing.
Yeah.
And figure of eights,
Yes.
so many figure of eights with the land work that I do, and the big body activations. There's lots of like lightning bolts, um,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
sometimes it's kind of like that, and it might be from top to bottom, or it might sometimes go in in all directions,
Hmm.
whatever axis that's on. Um, but it's very much a weaving, and it almost
Hmm.
feels like a different frequency of light is actually coming through each finger.
Yes.
And I think it's Todd that said to me it's like playing a musical instrument, and it really
Yes.
it is. There's music coming out of my finger, there's frequencies coming through which corresponds to music.
Hmm. Yeah, there's definitely a connection to this and dancing,
Yes.
allowing the
Yes.
music to like move through your being. We are resonant beings, so we resonate with resonance, with frequency,
Yeah.
with sound harmonics, because that is we are that as well. Um, it's so
Absolutely.
beautiful how there's just so many interpretations and encapsulations and uh, like methodologies for that, for embodying sound. You could be technically working in the auric field. Um, you could be doing it, but then you could also be doing a similar thing just by dancing, just by allowing freedom to overcome you, freedom to become you.
Yeah.
And then you're in relaxation, elation, joy. You're moving the
Yeah.
energy. There's just so many different beneficial attributes
Yeah,
of
I
sounding.
totally totally get you on the dancing. A lot of that was when this started coming in. It was with dancing, um,
Yeah.
and especially for me, dancing with the hula hoop. And there's something about having that circle, that divine feminine symbol of the circle, which is really a spiral, moving
Mm-hmm.
around your body and kind of being in the flow of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Ki hiara ene doran o kol ere iast a ya. Mona kola karan dere not ora mai leist. Ma kono ore in iakut uist ai. Ma kal haran iakan ist oi. Mala era mono kokoi. El ist aran ai ikit ea. Mokul erist oi. Mahaila eran ol a. Mol aran kia eran okust ea. Mihial ai erotototoana a.
Mm. Tura dara nia toro okoa dara atara tutoro tutora dara dara tutora tata tita tutoto. Tita tutotora tata tutotora tata tutotora tata tutoto. Aratata tutoto. Ira urama tutura ta atutora tara urania tara aya ukura ansa tuturestia arwa ir ush
Nehian oi ai ardikian ora uist eia. Me a hial no ritia. Makale iarana ukuist ai. Me hial un ora me ikt in ist aha. Makala ina kiaren it uia. Must uila ikit niekarano kona kiat ana. Makol arana kian ai ukon akat un est ai. Makol hian ira ul arana kiana a ust ea. Me ed iaron o kut un ai. Makal ast aron ko kokokoit aya. Mol eana a it eran. Makal akist ja. Mokola iana. Mol eran iatun era. Rana kia bara nukui et bara lebe arata kulauch nukui. Mistarele ina kairat o nukula e. Ist era un ora it arat it ist it bara na akita tente ta.
Uranda tudora dia auto o oikia tara ayanu no anaiti. Tia tara tusta raitia tuturo kwaikia ikia uarani. Tauturo toro a parai uro o arai dauda arana. Ukwai sturanda rabata turu kwanani e. Istireatoro ostoro oko kuaranda ta ahtaan. Ahadi ukukaki te tustora tarachi. Jiarato toro ostora ojostara andara. Aratara ata ukora anantarata. Itiriti okora anna i. Istiata aka okoha nana ata.
Tara nikaraton bort ai karaton hele eran u tatatatara nikiton nost utatata bort tatata la pakidi la pakidi la patui la bakana kiarotun uklehian eran kiaro ulehian tera ut ui ist ara nikitata an ust ui bort ai ik an ust o ja an iaratun o a Papa ist oren ikrortada eller eran kukukoist ai. Ile ai o. Kila
Stara ukwana ji zara itotoro oana tara itato ikara at ochora achi cha ukwai chanji shuai jan jo ukwa chanya tora na tikia ukwaika shanja uchu shua chanya ji au chukwa tara ita uwa mana tora ika chu uwai jara noi kia Chao para nado ukwaka. Ikiasta ustuanya. Chao jijanya jakukwa chachia. Janja ukuana. Ijijia jezu antiki. Susha sha wana. Ya wa andarata. Kya sho.
We both sighed in unison there. We were both sighed. Like that was completely voluntary on my part. I'm sure on yours too. Ah, beautiful. Thank you. 22. What do you know? 22. So I invite us all to bring our awareness back to our hearts now. Still feeling in that one unified field of love, one heart, one love.
Mm.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was really fun.
Mm. Is there anything you would like to share before we,
Mm.
or are you feeling complete?
Mm. I'm going to share, I'll share these cards. I'm not
Mm.
going to speak about them. I'll just let the energy of the cards speak, the visuals on them. So I'm going to hold them up. Hopefully they're seen. So, Amuata, sage of higher knowledge.
Oh, wow.
Mm. So notice that's a masculine. Oh my goodness, this is okay. Hozo, the beauty way of the Navajo.
Wow. Wow.
And aloha ki akua, blessings of the supreme being. So I feel like the masculine and feminine cards that were just shown are fully embodied in this supreme being that is emanating and presenting both sides, you could say, unified, you know,
Wow.
harmonically, which is very symbolic of a lot of the movements that we do and the weaving in between the sides of the worlds or the ways of expression. The inner, the outer world, the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine, the open and the closed. Like there's so many different um, expressions of the same thing, the same one. Okay, and then so this is the other deck. So paradigm shift. So this is sort of what we were speaking about, you know, these new feelings that we're having, these new sensations, almost this new world we're stepping into, these new experiences. Um, so the power of the masculine. So the divine masculine, the power of the divine yang force. And then this is, you know, sort of what we were expressing today, is what is coming through many beings who are open to going on that new unfoldment or new discovery, just sort of allowing these light codes to come in and show us the way as we just are sort of led by the intuition and the feeling. That's the yin, that's the opening and surrendering in. And then I feel like then when we allow that to come out of our being, it's yin and yang, right? Because I'm allowing in, and then I'm combining the yin and the yang, because this is, you know, the yang force is the moving, and then the feminine or the yin is the allowing, and then they come together. So it's harmonized in the light language and in the hand language. Hand mudras.
Yeah, beautiful. And sometimes I find when the activations come through, sometimes they feel very sun energy, they feel very fire, and they're like, they're really like, you know, and sometimes that sound comes through as well, and you have to really bring the energy in hard, you know, even harder than I'm doing right now, because I've
Yeah.
hit the radiator. But you know, it's a real like, and then others are very flowy, they're very soft, and sometimes it starts very masculine and then it moves. It's almost like you need that fire, you need that electricity to go into the earth, and then it's the magnetism, it's the magnetic layer. So it's the electro first sometimes, and then the soft feminine coming through after. Like not always, but that does that does happen sometimes.
Yeah. And we're gonna be sort of experimenting and almost like upgrading the way that we communicate about it, because it's almost like the words that we have can't quite get there, right? Like it
Yeah.
just somehow falls short. And that's why I think the encouragement within myself is like just not to abandon the words masculine and feminine, but like I've been encouraged to use yin and yang,
Yeah.
because something's telling me that there are feminine yang, there is
Mm.
masculine yin. Like it's just, it's all merging and it's all coalescing. So I'm like, okay, I need to take, trying to just play and integrate with a new concept with the old language.
Yeah.
It's kind of, almost counterintuitive.
Yeah.
You've got this expansive new energy, and then you're trying to bring it into an old system and
Yeah.
have it update it, but you're having to let go of these old. Yeah, just that's been the experience. So
And I wanted to share as well the third of the first set of cards. Um, that position that
Mhm.
she's holding her hands, that was the position that the wallaby, when I had a little conversation telepathically with the wallaby, that's the
Wow.
position that she said to like greet animals
Wow,
with the left
that's
hand down in
amazing.
receiving and the right hand up.
Beautiful.
That's an awesome card. I love the heart.
Oh, yeah, this card is another card that I keep drawing, and it's number 25, which also is the gene key of universal love.
Ah,
So powerful, very powerful.
yeah, so balanced.
I love how there's like a butterfly
Yeah.
kind of growing out of her head. Oh. Mm.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you everybody who's been with us live and putting your energy into the mix as well. I could feel a lot of you joining in with your own mudras and just, if it calls to you, just play with these. Just set aside your brain a little bit for it, or at least your logical brain, and just allow the flow of energy. And just, really let your hands just kind of do what they want. And it may be something very different from the way Kandice and I are expressing it, but just allow whatever wants to come through.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone who's joining us on the replay as well, either on Facebook or on YouTube. Thank you so much, Candice.
Thank you. Until
So
next time.
much love. Yes.
Mm.
And Friday, going to be joined by Suzanne at about this time, at about 4 o'clock. What else to share? I'm doing a Crystalline Dragons event on Thursday, which is connecting to the crystalline Albion lines that are here in the UK, and it's also activating crystalline geometries and lines in the body as well. So there's an event on my page if that calls to anybody's heart. And otherwise, I will see you on Friday and soon. Mwah. Love, 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 love.